Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei. Last time, we freed Izanami from her burial chamber prison in the Sea of Flames that Lucifer had stuck her in. We did that by using the 3 orbs that we got from the previous bosses of the last few dungeons. And now we're going to make our way back down to the Sea of Flames again and continue making progress. Though actually, to point this out, you're going to see right here, this is the exact moment I have a change of heart and a change of plans. I decided that instead of just going right back down to that second basement floor, why don't we go ahead and explore the areas I had glossed over. Because I kind of, like I said last episode, I kind of booked it just to Izanami right away so that we could get her robe and stop taking damage with every step. It's, I guess, technically the most efficient way to go through this area. I thought I'd save the exploration for after. And there's a few NPCs up here that are worth talking to in my opinion, so might as well. So we took the elevator back up to the first basement floor there. Almost got to 30 strength Nakajima, so that's pretty good. Gee, I wonder if any of these legendary arms that, you know, have their names in brackets are going to be important or something. Don't think we'll see any of these anytime soon. Especially when that guy's like, don't forget this. Kind of badass that that old man's just hanging out, surrounded by fire. I respect that. He's like that dog that's like, this is fine. Has the coffee mug, and his face is melting. That's everyone that's in this dungeon. They're just always like, this is fine. God, I really do love the effect on the walls here. I actually don't know if I referenced that last episode, which is a little surprising, because that's, like, visually, this is the most interesting area in the game by far. It just looks beautiful. Really, really cool wiggling sprite effect there to, mirror the heat effect. Or not mirror, but portray or represent is probably a better word for that. See, I don't think it's terrifying. I think this looks pretty damn cool. But whatever you say, weird gremlin creature. Also, we can't really return home. Like, we're here to kick Lucifer's ass, and I guess before we can do that, we have to defeat the boss of this area. This is the penultimate area in the game, by the way. Don't know if I referenced that last time. I think I did. And actually, I don't think that we have come across the boss of this area's name yet, which is interesting, because usually they, like, an NPC gives you that pretty quick. But I don't think we've actually seen it yet. Maybe it did show up last episode and I just wasn't paying attention, or I, you know, didn't notice, or what have you. But maybe it was referenced and I just wasn't, you know, I didn't make note of it. We're gonna continue going through the rest of the dungeon now. You may have noticed that I believe I skipped going down the first floor. And there's just really nothing going on there as far as I can remember. So we just explored the first basement floor and the second floor. These enemies are major pain in the asses, by the way. Second to the Black Knight. Probably actually worse than the Black Knight. If only because this is another enemy that can curse you and permanently lower one of your levels. Honestly, I should have used Susanu's ability to, you know, block that with Tetraja. But I didn't. So, fuck me, but whatever. Sometimes you just kind of turn your brain off and hit auto battle. Starting to build up our Maka reserves again after running pretty close to empty last time around. And yeah, as you can see from what I have filled out of the map so far, this area is long. Like, it is a very horizontal area, just if you're looking on it at the map, of course. It's a very west to east area. Not a lot of north-south not a lot of north-south action going on here. But we're gonna take the time to explore what's up north anyways, because there is some stuff, and it's worth showing off. So here we have a save room. This area is weird in that, I guess you could technically call the second basement floor like a town, but, you know, I don't really think of it as one, even though it by all means is, just because everything is so spread out. I say as the Cathedral of Shadows is right next to the save spot. But the healing spot is a little further away from these two little shops, or whatever you want to call them, areas, I guess. And the shops, the actual shops proper, I should say, like the item and equipment shops, are even further along, as you may have noticed we ran into them last time, and they were a lot further east. Like, this is the most spread out dungeon town. I guess not, actually. I think the last dungeons, actual areas and shops and whatnot are even more spread out, so I should hold my tongue on that. But we went ahead and fused Sebek here, which I actually think is supposed to be Sobek. I don't know, I'm gonna look this up while I futz around. Hopefully I don't miss anything important. I'm gonna look up Sebek. Sobek, also called Sebek, okay. He's associated with the Nile crocodile. Good to know. Has a crocodile head and shit. Am I gonna summon him or not? What's the deal here? I'm kind of putzing around with the menus. Oh, I guess I just wanted to heal up, which makes sense. Lakshmi is running pretty low on health. Lakshmi is also actually kind of outliving her usefulness. Kinda, sorta, not really, I guess, because she is a very good healer, but also she's gonna start taking more damage here, and from a statistics standpoint, she's starting to fall behind a bit compared to the other party members in terms of actual combat. But sometimes it's nice to have those utility-based demons that you can use for healing and whatnot. And speaking of healing, here's the healer, which you're gonna want to probably hug to for a little bit when you're first going through this area, because, you know, like I said, the damage over time in this area is pretty bad with every step you take. Not the easiest healer to get to, though. You kind of need to go up and around to get through that hallway. Another giant. Gonna continue making our way back east, back towards progress. God, I don't know if I've said anything or referenced those little spin tiles yet in this playthrough, but, like, it's just the most gimmicky, like, dungeon trap for your dungeon crawler. I don't even get why they exist, to be honest, especially in a game like this where they give you the compass direction on the screen. Like, I'm facing east right now. Like, who is that fooling, you know? Like, it's just very confusing to me why you have those in there. And you can just pull up the map, too, like this, to reorient yourself. It's very goofy. I don't really understand the point of those tiles at all. I guess they're fun. They're like the teacups from Disney World or whatever. Or Disneyland. Is it Disney World or Disneyland? Or maybe both. I don't know. This is a cool NPC. He will cast Mediyama on you if you cast Paralati on him. A nice little magic trade there. And that's pretty nice if you're going through this area and, you know, you're starting to run low on HP as you make your way through this basement floor. Kind of a cool, unique NPC. But yeah, you're going to notice a lot of walking back and retreading ground of where I was before. Sometimes I have these weird crises when I'm editing these of, like, how much should I leave in, how much should I leave out? Because also, too, like, as much as I do like to cut out filler and really shorten up the actual, you know, footage for these Let's Plays, just for, you know, the sake of being time-sensitive, I also do want to be true to the character of these games and make sure that I'm not misrepresenting them, because these games do get slow and, dare I say, a little dull at times, too, and I don't want to misrepresent that, and I want to make sure that I'm also, especially for games like these that are just raw dungeon crawling, I do want to show off the fact that sometimes you do need to take the time and just kind of reorient yourself and look at a map and just kind of figure out where you're going. These games can be kind of stop and go at times, and it'd be a little dishonest for me as a video creator, I'd feel, to not include some of the slower bits. And it's my job to make up for that and be entertaining, and hopefully so far I've been doing that. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on this Let's Play, so that's been making me happy. These are fun to make. They're also very long. that was a Dodongo that we killed, which I find fascinating that we fought the Dodongo in the Sea of Flames, because as we all know, they dislike smoke. I am so sorry, that was a terrible, terrible nerd reference. I'm gonna make it up to you by getting 35 intelligence in Yumiko, and congratulations, we have finally gotten maximum stat at some point in this Let's Play. Or we've maxed out a stat, I worded that weirdly. And I don't know what's actually coming next. That's the beauty of recording these episodes, like, forever ago. It's been weeks since I since I last dealt with this footage, because I record it, and that usually takes up like a night or whatever, because I like to play in long chunks whenever I can spare the time after work, or maybe if I have a lazy weekend, and then it's a lot of editing, and then I usually kind of have to find time so I can record like this, and sometimes I just forget what's going on, and usually I like to kind of look through the footage and give myself a primer just so I know what I'm talking about. But, from moment to moment, sometimes I surprise myself. Past me is like, why did you do this? Why weren't you more efficient? But that's how it goes. So, first of all, I have a very, very, like, skeptical view of whatever archives this man is talking about, unless they are located in a different part of this mega dungeon. Because keeping a book archive of any form in a Sea of Flames does not seem like a good idea, unless the fires are perpetuated by the books, but that also kind of defeats the purpose of them being an archive. I don't know. I really want to know what I need to do to get a library card in Hell, though, because that sounds like a pretty damn good steal. I bet there's a lot of good info in there. I'm gonna be fighting Typhon, which, whenever I see the name Typhon, all I can think of are those Percy Jackson books, which, were probably like the last young adult series of books that I ever really got into proper. By the time that the last few of that first series had come out, because I know that I think there was a sequel series, and I think actually there's a sequel series to the sequel series now, but by the time that 5th book came out, I was already kind of starting to outgrow them, but I was invested in the story and I wanted to know how it wrapped up, so I remember buying the last one and being like, yeah, let's, even though I'm kind of moved on from reading these, I want to see how this ends. And Typhon, to bring it back and explain what I'm talking about, is a major force in the final arc or so of that book series. Need to get back to reading more Brandon Sanderson stuff. I really, really loved the first Stormlight Archive book, and I started Warbreaker, and it's a little rougher around the edges. It's one of his earlier works, I know, so I need to, kind of be mindful of that, but it didn't hold my interest enough for me to continue reading it, but I did like what I read of it. It just didn't hook me as much as Stormlight did, but I should get back to that. I also borrowed a book from my aunt. I think it's, I can't remember the name of it. It's about the World's Fair. Is it Devil in the White Castle? Let me look. Googling mid-Let's Play, haha. Devil in the White City, yes, that's what it is. It's about the World's Fair and H.H. Holmes, and I know that's a big, important book that a lot of people really love in literary circles and all that, and my aunt really liked it, so I was like, yeah, I'll borrow it, and then I have not gotten around to it yet, so fuck me. But what are you gonna do? Gonna go on up. And we're back on the second floor. So yeah, even though we were on the second floor before, I guess it is important to note that kind of like the Mazurka corridor, this does have like kind of a U shape, but in the opposite sense, and also not nearly as pronounced. So this second floor, this area of the second floor that we're on does not connect to the first part of the second floor, if that makes sense. Like, you need to go to that basement area first before you can get up here. You probably wouldn't want to skip to this part anyways, because you'd probably want to get that Izanami robe, but who knows. very slowly going through and fighting this, is this a cockatrice? I can't remember what this is. I guess we'll see when I defeat it and the text comes up. But yeah, our current party is pretty good for this area. We're doing some pretty decent damage. Though my HP for my human characters is getting a little low there. I should be a little bit more mindful of that. But yeah, like, yeah, look at that though. Nakajima's doing some pretty good damage. And the rest of the demons are too. And cockatrice? Yes, it is. Okay. I do believe that they do have the ability to, not paralyze, but petrify you. That's the word I'm looking for. And there's Behemoth. This is a very, very funny sprite for Behemoth, I feel. Like, I always think of Behemoth as not, like, a thing that would, like, wield a weapon like that. I always think of it as, like, a massive, like, land beast that's just rampaging everywhere. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Behemoth took some martial arts classes and learned some weapon skills along the way. And I don't think there's a Leviathan in this game, actually, which would be a little nice to have the set there. When I think Behemoth, I also always think Leviathan, too. Can't have Groudon without Kyogre, if you catch my drift. So, we took a very specific route to get to that teleportation room, and it's led us here. You may see from the Mapara spell that we cast that we're in this weird little cluster of 4 rooms here. And we really need to start pumping Yumiko with some vitality. But this is an important area to remember. I kind of skipped past this text a little fast, sorry about that. But basically, we found a weird, mysterious, bottomless urn. So that's interesting. That almost seems like it's going to be important later. So remember the route to that teleportation room, because that's the only way to access that cluster of 4 rooms. And then we're going to go back out into the central hallway and continue our way south. This hallway, for some reason, is also filled with these spinny tiles, which are even more useless here because it's a hallway. Like, what are you gonna do? Start going down the wrong... Like, you just double back around. It's so goofy. I don't understand why they're here. Like, I kind of get it here, where, like, you're in this little, like, pass between 4 different rooms, but even then... So we're gonna fight Persky here. And the boss music is playing, so, maybe we stumbled our way onto a boss. Gonna have to play this one a little careful. Gonna cast Boofarama. Sometimes, if you're lucky, like I am actually right there, you can freeze the boss, and they just can't do shit. It's always fun. Dealing some big damage. You would think that, like, more creatures, especially like a boss like this, would be weak to ice-based spells when you're the boss of the Sea of Flames, but you would be wrong. Actually seems to be a lot more weak to light elemental spells like we're using here. Or at least when we use them with Yumiko. I don't even think maybe he's not weak. I think it might just be the case that Yumiko's intelligence is just maxed out now, so we can deal some pretty damn good damage. And we got Persky's Neigh, which I don't know what that is, like, other than the fact that, like, maybe it's a little recorder, like a tape recorder, that just has a recording of its neigh. So yeah, we defeated the boss of this area, right? Well, no, that was just a mini-boss that happened to have its own, like, boss-like chamber and used the actual boss music, which is interesting, and I'm not really sure why they included it like that. Kind of interesting. First and I believe only area in this game to have a mini-boss like that, so... Weird stuff. And it's everyone's favorite NPC in this game, Weird Pixel Game Maker Studio Man. I don't know why, that's what that sprite reminds me of. I don't know if I've ever said that in this Let's Play. Maybe I did in the early episodes where that guy showed up a lot. But, like, something about that just feels like default Game Maker Studio asset to me. I don't know if any of you have used that program ever. If you want to make games, I actually, I recommend Game Maker Studio. I say that like I'm a professional and I know what I'm talking about, but I dicked around with it a lot when I was younger, and, you know, I was more interested in programming than I am now, and it taught me a lot, just going through and making my own little miniature games and all that. It teaches you a lot about game design and what goes into making games work, and especially, like, simple indie-based games and all that. And a lot of cool games have been made in Game Maker. I mean, like, fucking Undertale is one of the biggest games to come out in the last decade. That was completely made in Game Maker, I believe, so... yeah. Just goes to show that, the simplest tools are sometimes the most effective for making the type of thing you want. I've kind of been, realizing that as of late with my model making, as I get more invested into painting my Gundam model kits and going through with that, because there's a lot of products out there that are like, oh, here's all this big fancy stuff that you can buy to make your stuff really cool, but past a point it's just you're realizing that your tools that you have available aren't as important as the skills that you have, and if you can actually use those tools successfully. And to cornily bring it back around to Kyuuyaku so that I don't feel like I'm going completely off the rails with my commentary, that's kind of how I feel sometimes with the demon selection in this game. I mean, it would be nice if there was a wider selection of demons and you could more easily fuse better demons given your circumstances, but also a lot of it comes down to making sure that you're using your demons effectively when you can, and also not almost dying to a random encounter. I don't know why I kept this encounter in, truthfully. Because I feel like we've run into this demon before. Maybe not. Oh well. Maybe not. Maybe that was the first time we ran into a Hydra. Do not remember. Though also, too, I do want to point out that this is where, I feel it starts to become very noticeable that this game is very, very palette swap heavy, as are a lot of the early Atlas SMT games. So, I feel like we've probably fought another enemy with that sprite, but just a different, you know, variant of it. But we found a demon in a bottle, which I believe is the name of an Iron Man comic book run, now that I say that out loud, so that's weird. But yeah, we picked up Ruth, who is just kind of chilling out here. And as we make our way back through this area, if we can stop spinning ever... something was hiding there, oh no! Here we have another mini-boss, essentially, and this is actually a tougher enemy to fight than Persky, which is interesting, because what we're doing here, picking up Ruth, is optional, actually. You do not need to pick up Ruth. Actually, no, that's a lie. You do need Ruth for a different part of this dungeon, so you do need to pick him up, so this is not optional. But, yeah, this guy, Astaroth, is a pain in the ass. He deals a lot of damage and can really fuck you up if you're not paying attention and not taking this fight seriously. Very interesting how this tile works, where when you're walking through it to go into this area, he will not spawn, but when you come back out with Ruth... actually, I don't know if you need to pick up Ruth even. I think it's just when you're going back from that, you know, from inside the little hallway area here, or whatever you want to call it, that little lobby we were in, he's gonna come up and mess up your day. So just follow your best practices for fighting tough enemies and you should be fine. Astaroth is pretty dope. I really actually like his design a lot too. And he's a cool fight in SMT1 as well. I'm referencing SMT1 and that playthrough a lot these past few episodes, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of these early games reference each other. Well, I guess not even reference each other a lot, but they make use of the same, you know, entities and share the same designs and all that. And, you know, bigger, more important demons like Astaroth tend to be, you know, bosses or very powerful demons and enemies to encounter in a lot of these games like that. So it's only natural that it would remind you of the other entries in the series, I guess. But yeah, that Maragadine is really fucking us up, so really gotta be mindful of that. I'm just gonna go all out and hope that we can take him down here. I was about to say we just managed to hit that 25% mark as indicated by the little red monster sprite. And also he can curse you, oh no. I should use Tetraja. I actually don't know if I did earlier and I just didn't notice it, but yeah, he has a lot of very powerful skills that can really mess your day up if you're not paying attention. But our critical hit there is going to finish him up, and that's a lot of experience points actually too, which is nice. Yumiko is going to level up again. Yeah, we want to buff up her HP. Especially because both with Nakajima and Yumiko, we haven't... or actually, no, sorry, I was just not paying attention to Nakajima's max health. With Yumiko, we haven't even passed 200 max HP, which is a little on the lower end, probably, for this point in the game. So that's what you get for min-maxing like I tend to do when I do these Let's Plays. But yeah, Astaroth is a pain in the ass, but nothing you can't really handle by this point. This game, honestly, isn't too tricky with most of its combat encounters. As long as you come in with a full party, that does wonders in making sure that you can do what you need to do. But yeah, we're going to teleport the fuck on out of here, and we're going to call it a night. Thank you for watching this part of Let's Play Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei. See you next time.